Habits are a essential part of the human existence. They're the reasons we're able to perform certain activities without consciously thinking about them. When you wake up in the morning, you do not have to think about brushing your teeth. It's automatic. You just know that you should brush your teeth. That is a habit. As humans, there are many similar tasks that we perform seamlessly on a momentary basis. So habits become a crucial part of the human existence, automating most of the mundane tasks that do not require extra levels of awareness. Now, although habits are essential to the human existence, they can be debilitating if used in the wrong manner. And here's what I mean. Habits are automation mechanisms, and so they should only be used to automate tasks that require automation. Using habits to automate tasks that need our awareness may be detrimental in many ways. Example, you may need a habit to wake up every morning at 7 o'clock and brush your teeth. That may work very well. But if you use habits to drive to work every morning without paying attention, we'll be attending your funeral in less than a day. A very important aspect to understand about habits is repetition. By repeatedly performing certain activities over and over again, you're programming your mind to eventually be able to perform that activity without consciously thinking about it. Now, there are entities and forces out there that have understood and mastered this aspect of a human being. And over the course of the human history, these entities have found devious ways to deceive humans into developing habits that prevent them from fully evolving. Most of these activities have been disguised in very deceptive packaging to make them appear like a service to humanity, when in reality, these are maliciously crafted activities that are meant to trap humans in mediocrity. Let's take this scenario. Over the course of the lifespan of a typical human being, it's very common to go to school, obtain a degree, get a job, and work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. This may seem like a very good thing, and it is in many ways. But for people that want to evolve into higher possibilities of life, this may be very incapacitating. The human mind is susceptible to patterns, which means that by repetitively performing certain activities over long periods of time, you're establishing a mental pattern. And over time, these patterns will shape themselves into behavioral tendencies. That is how habits are established. Once these patterns get firmly established in the mind, it becomes difficult, if not impossible, to undo them. And so, generalizing a system like the conventional educational system we have in the human society today and making it the standard for measuring the human intelligence may seem like a good thing at the surface. But at the highest level, it is preventing an entire species from evolving into their highest potential. This is usually the reason why it's very difficult for people that have spent most of their lives acquiring conventional education to break out of the corporate system. Because for most of their lives, their minds have been programmed to function in a particular way. Go to school, obtain the best of certificates, and go to work. And so the mind has gone into a pattern. Trying to undo these patterns is going to take a process, a very difficult process in most cases, which is why most people remain trapped in these mental constructs and never break free from them. Now, this is just one of many strategies that these fallen angelic races have used to deceive humans into establishing limiting subconscious patterns that prevent them from fully evolving. Here's another scenario. It's very common knowledge today that sugar is damaging to the human health. But how many humans are able to stay away from sugar? I used to tell people back in the communities that sugar is a spiritual attack on their health. But you see, when you tell stuff like that to those people, they start to label you as weird and stupid. But is it true that sugar is a spiritual attack on your health? Well, I'll let you answer that question. All I can say is that there's a reason why sugar has been integrated into all of your snacks, all of your kids' snacks, all of your drinks, basically all of the food substances out there. The goal is to establish a mental pattern. And once this pattern gets firmly established, it becomes a habit. And so staying away from sugar becomes difficult, if not impossible. And there's a bigger reason behind all these things. See, for most people, by regularly consuming sugar and other bad food substances from childhood till age 35, the integrity of their body is going to be significantly compromised. You may not have any visible ailments, but your body is no longer resilient enough to endure certain levels of pressure. Now, most of the time, these are stages in your life when you start to experience next level spiritual attacks like gang stalking. And make no mistake, spiritual attacks are amongst the most painful human experiences on the planet. And so if your body and your mind are not resilient enough to handle certain kinds of pressure, it'll be easy for these entities to get you to compromise before you realize what's really going on. Now, think about the many other contexts in which repetition can be weaponized to establish limiting subconscious patterns and prevent humans from evolving. Think about the social context, political context, religious context. This is what the false matrix is. This is what a spiritual attack is.